Jen Psaki, the White House spokesperson for Joe Biden, is on the defense after the Biden administration decided to fire officials for the awful crime of having smoked weed. I mean, they shouldn't have admitted it, honestly, but still, they probably thought, this is a Democratic president. He's not going to fire me for smoking weed. Unfortunately, Joe Biden was, I think, the only candidate in the 2020 primary, Democratic primary, who did not support the federal legalization of marijuana. And this is what comes from that backwards position.
Sure. So Vice President Kamala Harris says that she is a past marijuana smoker. She said, quote, "It gives people joy, and we need more joy in this world." She is with a clear majority of the U.S. population in supporting marijuana legalization. According to polls, 2/3 of people do, including about half of Republicans. Yet last week, the Daily Beast reported that there were dozens of White House staffers who were either disciplined or terminated from their jobs for past marijuana use. You seem to confirm 5 terminations on Twitter. And my question is, why would President Biden allow this to happen, especially considering the White House staff were led to believe that pot use would not be disqualifying, and especially considering the Vice President is herself a former marijuana user?
Well, let me first say that what we tried to do as an administration was work with the security service, who actually makes these determinations about suitability for serving in government. In the past, and I served in the Obama-Biden administration, the rules were actually far more stringent. So that isn't about anyone's personal point of view. It's about working through the process, the history, and modernizing it and taking steps to address the fact that marijuana is legal in a number of states across the country. It is still illegal federally, right? We know that. There were, as I noted, I think in our comment last week, 5 individuals who are no longer employed at the White House. A number of them, there were other security issues that were raised. And that's an unfortunate conclusion, of course. But what we tried to do is enable additional members of the team who would not have been able to continue serving in past administrations to continue serving by updating our policy in coordination with the security service.
Follow up on that. Surely President Biden could, implement changes here unilaterally and just say that these people can come to work for him.
Well, I think if marijuana was federally legal, that might be a different circumstance. But I don't think I have any more for this on you for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have any real explanation for it, given that, if this is your position on the issue, Harris is out of there. Obama shouldn't have been able to be president, given the exact standards that you let out. And don't tell me that old Joey hasn't taken a toke here or there, right? Although, I don't know, maybe he's that old school. I don't believe it. I just would imagine that everybody has tried smoking weed at one point in their life. But yeah, this is an absolutely absurd position of theirs. They stepped in it themselves, and they didn't have to do this. They're doing it for their commitment to bureaucracy, and once again, hiding behind procedure, hiding behind obtuse statutes and language about respectability. This is going to be the blueprint for the Biden administration to excuse their actions going forward.
I am wondering though, like you said, almost everybody, I have to say, myself not included, but almost everybody has smoked weed in their life. So I'm wondering, what was the criteria that those 5 people who got fired hit that got them fired? I mean, I can't even imagine.
Ongoing regular use was my guess, but
Yes,
I don't know.
They probably had to say that they are currently smoking marijuana, which
I gotta say that there's gotta be
it's legal in DC.
way more than 5. It's legal in DC, and they could be using it for medicinal purposes, but that doesn't prevent you from getting fired by the Biden administration. They didn't have to do it because no one would care. As was listed by that reporter, 2/3 of Americans at minimum want legalization across the board. The medicinal use, that's an even higher number. Why do this? Why create this problem for yourself, except for this bizarre religious commitment to kind of, I don't know, letter of the law when it comes to drug use, and still continuing to demonize that? Is that as easy as it is?
Well, I mean, I'll say, as the perhaps the soberest person in the world, that Joe Biden, I would see a fellow kindred spirit, somebody who knows the dangers of jazz cigarettes that they play on, like, tempting white women into the dangers of like smoke filled rooms with Negro males. And at the end of the day, he's just trying to keep America safe. On the other hand, I would say this is just a classic, like, noob trap, to borrow a gamer term that's not, that also starts with an N word, in the sense that, like, if you admit to doing drugs to the president who, out of all of the nominees, was the most hard on drug use, then you kind of deserve what you get.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I can't defend people who think that they should be exceptions to rules that everyone else should be subjugated to. Like, and the idea that they, I don't know what's in their heart. I don't know anything about these staffers, to be perfectly honest. They could be like ex-Trump staffers who still work in the White House across administrations, for all I know. And so, at the end of the day, like, if they are, that dedicated to smoking weed, they should get into Joe Biden's ear, the ones that still work there, I guess, and try to change his mind. But they should do so while, sober, I suppose, like me.
Yeah, I think point taken. The point really is just this illustrates to me just like the arcaneness of the Biden administration and their continued desire to, even if he's being bolder on legislation than was initially anticipated, the almost nostalgia and desire to do politics like it existed in the 90s, it still remains in the Biden White House.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure
that's. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was going to say, I'm sure he's showing the staffers reefer madness as we speak. It's, it's just the kind of person Joe Biden is. It's like his personality. I think that, Kamala Harris, she's right on this one. You got to give it to her. But Joe Biden has been, pretty clear about his feelings personally on marijuana and marijuana legalization throughout the primary. People who are confused about that, on a personal level, maybe thought that there'd be an exemption. But I mean, it's Joe Biden. Joe Biden, Joe Biden. We all know Joe Biden.
Right.
Yeah, come
Right.
on, man.
Come on,
I mean,
Jack.
I mean, Emma, you shared out that story the other day about how Biden's all really enamored with the fact that people are saying that he's moving faster than Obama, and he's going to
That
be
he's bigger
like,
and bolder and maybe
bigger-
even cooler and younger than Obama. Many people are
Maybe
saying
even
this.
like
Many
Right.
thicker set of hair than
Yeah.
Obama.
right? I heard he's
better
got
jump shot.
heard he's got a big.
Heard he's good, better at basketball, more, yeah. And
Right,
I
but
heard
maybe-
he's better friends with Beyonce. I don't know.
Maybe we need like, some, I don't know what Joe Biden considers hit. Maybe we need like some like Arthur Fonzarelli types walking around the White House smoking weed, saying like, oh man, I wish Cool Joe would make this legal. And then maybe he'll be like, Obama would never do this,
Right, exactly. We just have to keep saying like Obama would never pass Medicare for all, Joe. And
Because
if you
of
do
Joe-
so, you're going to put 30 years onto your life and be friends with all of Obama's celebrity friends.
Because of Joe Biden's just like raw sort of charisma, kind of like Joe Camel, the old like smoking mascot, not marijuana cigarettes, the normal kind, which I presume he's okay with smoking. A lot of people are starting to call Obama the white Joe Biden. And that's really, I think the angle that everyone's going to be aiming for, trying to get into his ear.
Many people
And
are saying
very
it,
Trump-like in that,
Brendan.
though.
Many people
Very
are
Trump-like
saying
in that, like, that kind of weird ego flexing.
It's like
really focus on
politicians,
Obama.
though. That's just politicians. They're ego-driven creatures for the most part,
Definitely. And Obama is a uniquely good politician. And, you can, if you abstract all bad things he's done and like, hey, good orator, very charismatic, really ensorcelled the population. Like, you can see why a lot of people would aspire to that. That was the whole thing during the primary. Everyone was going to be like the blank Joe, the blank Obama. Like Kamala Harris was the female Obama. I guess who else was in that primary? It seems like forever ago.
Buttigieg was South Bend Obama.
Yeah, Delaney was ripped Obama, and Yang was I guess tech billionaire Obama. Everything, it was all just trying to recapture that magic.
I don't know if this, Yang does not have an ounce of charisma, I gotta be honest with you.
Yang has the kind of manufactured charisma that you get at TED Talk. Like the kind of, he walks on stage, he has an anecdote about his own family. He that, is supposed to relate to your family, but he doesn't really say anything. He's stalking the streets of New York City as we speak right now. You never know when you're going to run into Andrew Yang.
Well, you'll find him in a bodega. That's where he goes every single morning.
You'll find him in a Target. You'll find him in a Target pretending like it's no bodega. Really,
that's-
really
Segments,
tapping.
yeah.
He's just like really tapping into that like sort of like just moved to New York demographic, like just discovered bodega, just discovered egg and cheeses, like are constantly tweeting about it back to like their loser friends, no offense, in like the one horse town they're from. And
been there.
but get to me when you know about Kennedy Fried Chicken. When you're like, stumbling into Kennedy Fried Chicken at 2 o'clock in the morning for some mozzarella sticks. Then you live in Brooklyn.
I mean, he's tweeting like pro Nets stuff, so I don't really know.
I don't know. I will say that
Not real New Yorker.
the Yang is traveling all over, and I will say that from seeing it myself among people who get visited by the candidates, whatever kind of race it is, that shit really works. Like the other mayoral candidates, for the sake of everyone who doesn't want Yang, they got to start knocking on doors and getting out there. I haven't seen anything like that, what Yang is doing. I mean,
he's the only one I've heard of so far. He's the only one I see just out there.
That's all you got to do to win over votes, to be quite frank with most people. Unfortunately, people really take that to heart, like, oh, but he visited me, how could I not vote for him when I go to the voting booth?
Gonna win, I think. Well, at least that's what people are saying. I can't.
I don't know. I think it's way too early. I don't know if you guys remember, but when de Blasio wasn't mayor, not 2 election cycles ago, de Blasio was nowhere near first. Christine Quinn was the sure thing, being Bloomberg's protege, and then there was a whole bunch of other candidates who were vying for second. De Blasio was honestly not even on the radar. And then he just out of the blue started like hitting up all these different protests. He put himself on the line to try to stop the closure of physically.
Anthony
try to stop
Weiner was the front runner at that
right. He was yeah. And he did a bunch of things that really got him press, and all of a sudden he shot to the top like towards the last couple of months. It wasn't like he was leading the pack ever before that. So it's still wide open, I think.
Diane Morales is the candidate people are suggesting to me. Diane at Diane with 2 N's for NYC. So I don't know if there's a better
And
one,
it's
but
ranked
she
choice
seems
voting,
good.
so it hopefully once the pool is narrowed, people can find a more progressive candidate than Yang.
I mean, I think America's a lot dumber than it was back then when people decided on de Blasio, I suppose. So maybe America, New York City rather, is ready for like just a literal snake oil salesman, maybe just to be its leader.
De Blasio was actually good back then. At least he presented himself really well. Like a lot of really good progressive groups got behind him, and like he was seen as legit for a while. And then
he was running
we all
on,
know what
like,
happened there.
No stop and frisk, all of those things, really actual police reform. And then he got a swirly by the police union basically in the toilet and got bullied by them, and now, cowed to them.
Right.